Hello, children. Welcome back to Cultaholic Wrestling. We're back here to ask another massive question, Andrew. If you wouldn't mind moving out the way, right? Get out the way now. Are WWE in desperation mode by running back the clock once again to have Roman Reigns taking on Brock Lesnar? We're joined by Andrew. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing good, thanks, Ross. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Full of hay fever, full of
Yeah, I think we all are.
All three of us are hay fever sufferers.
My eyes burn like fire. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm not too bad. I'm admiring. I really like I don't know what they call it, a thumbnail, the featured image.
What filth is this, Richard, for the kids at home? It's a glitch, isn't it? That's what he says.
He said it showcases the distress that WWE might be in right now.
Or are they? That's the question we're here to answer today, because just in case you missed SmackDown last week, Roman Reigns retains his ooh-woo up against Riddle. Then after the match, he delivers... Brock Lesnar bloody comes back, doesn't he, after the match, and delivers F5s to all members of the bloodline, apart from Sami Zayn and apart from Paul Heyman. Yes, Sami Zayn is in my bloodline.
Yeah.
He's in your bloodline?
He's in my bloodline.
Of course he
well,
is.
yeah.
It felt like this match to me, for Riddle at least, wasn't so much like an audition like we saw with Montez Ford back on Raw way back in the day. This felt like a match that was going to set up a match between Randy Orton and Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank. But unfortunately, as we all know, big Randy Orton, he's got a big bloody back injury, hasn't he? So he can't be there at Money in the Bank. We saw Riddle's promo at the start of the show on SmackDown last week saying, Wendy, I love you this, Wendy, I love you that. Roman cut the promo directly down the bloody camera lens during the match about Randy Orton. Andrew, do you think that was the original plan?
I think the original plan, personally, I think the original plan before we changed venues, didn't we, for Money in the Bank to one that holds lesser seats, lesser people in it. I think the match at Money in the Bank was going to be Riddle and Roman Reigns, and then with the ending of that, I still think we would have had the stipulation of if Riddle loses, he can't challenge again whilst Roman's holding the belts. And I think we'd have seen Bloodline absolutely just beat down on Riddle, and that's where Randy would have come back, and then we build towards the SummerSlam match.
That makes a lot of sense, that. Jack?
Yeah.
I'm the same as Andrew. I think that Riddle was always the plan for Money in the Bank, but various circumstances have, as Andrew's mentioned, they changed Money in the Bank from the venue move-in to injuries and stuff, which I'm sure we'll get onto later on.
Yeah.
But I think it was going to be Riddle, then Randy at SummerSlam, because it's like a ramping up, isn't it? He's taken out like the sidekick. Not that Riddle is obviously very good and everything, but he's like building up towards Orton, because the reactions Orton was getting in like tag matches and stuff in the build-up to this before his injury were absolutely huge, and I think they would have capitalized on that.
Even when Riddle's cutting promos at the minute, he's just getting Randy chants thrown at him. I feel a bit bad for him.
Well, Randy Chance in the match.
Yeah, I think this is going to build into what could potentially split them up down the line.
Oh, yeah, I could see that way. He's like, I've been focusing too much on you, Andy.
Or Randy's just like, you're just building a legacy off me, pal. And
a legacy.
Flashing, yeah. Oh,
Wrestling
there you go.
has
So
more
let's
than
just
one
pretend.
legacy.
Let's pretend everyone's fine and healthy and well. Would Randy Orton have been the one to topple Roman Reigns at SummerSlam 2022?
No.
Interesting.
What do you think?
Nah.
No, as well.
No.
I think that. Well, again, we'll get onto that later on. No, I just think no, he wouldn't have been. But I think it would have been one of those ones where they'd have structured the match so the crowd start to believe. Right towards the end, but then he screws him out of it.
Well, I believed that Riddle was going to do it in that match there. There was the RKO he hit, and I was like, oh my God, he's bloody got him here.
Yeah.
But that's the good thing about the matches, right? Like a lot of them that we've had with Roman Reigns versus someone, say like Seth Rollins or something, there's always been that moment in the match where you're like, oh, actually, they could do it. And I kind of like that, because then that still keeps the challengers looking strong at the same time, so they don't just like look weak and then what's next for them after that kind of thing. And I guess it also, at least for Riddle, you know, it builds towards him being a bigger main event player down the line as well.
In theory, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Hopefully. We've been down this road before, haven't we, dear wrestling fans?
Well,
that hopefully never happens.
I remember thinking the same about Cesaro.
Yeah, true.
Because I thought,
true.
this is his shot. This is it, not to win, but to show what he can do, like an audition, like you said, and then...
But that's not going to happen because, of course, Randy Orton's got that big injury. Riddle has now lost to Roman Reigns on SmackDown. So Brock Lesnar comes back. Is it just a case of there's literally nobody else on SmackDown or on Raw, because the brand split doesn't really matter these days, does it? Anyone can rock up anywhere. Obviously, the Street Profits on SmackDown last week, even though they're Raw superstars. Is it just a case that there's literally nobody else, Andrew?
I mean,
Brock Lesnar's comeback.
But there is other people though. That's the issue.
But no, I mean to challenge Roman Reigns and be a viable contender for Roman Reigns here and now in June of 2022.
I guess to contradict that though, at the same time, is he really, the person that's gonna do it? Because again, we've seen him lose to Roman Reigns, and we've seen this whole scenario play out before. So he necessarily doesn't feel like a viable contender.
But he's Brock Lesnar.
And well, that's the thing.
He's
that's
always
the
got
name
that air
value.
of legitimacy.
Yeah, of course.
And he's beaten Roman before.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe it is just a case of that. But it's there's two sides to it, because on one hand you could say, yeah, there's no one else. Fair enough. Like it's got to be Lesnar. But on the other hand, that's their own fault because they've not built anyone up to that level.
Yeah.
But then you can also say, could they quickly do something like the Cesaro storyline where you build someone up fast? And then it's like the story of the underdog. Could he possibly have a shot? But that might not be the sort of match they want for like a big pay-per-view like SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I've got a list of names to potentially go through later on to see who could potentially be the guy to beat Roman Reigns and take his uwu off him. But as for here, I'm going to put you on the spot, Andrew.
Yeah.
If you're the booker of WWE, who are you booking against Roman Reigns for? Well, I guess we'll say for SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Because Money in the Bank's turned into an inconvenience, it seems.
A little bit.
Because everything, apart from the actual briefcase matches, it seems that everything else is just like, oh, let's get it over with. We've got Natalya challenging for a title. We've got Carmella, who's been lost in the shuffle for a while. She's challenging for a title now.
She's filling in for Rhea, isn't
For
she?
Rhea, because of injuries and whatnot. So it just seems like it's a bit of an inconvenience on the road to SummerSlam. But if you were the booker, just looking forward to SummerSlam, who are you putting in there against Reigns if it's not Lesnar?
That's really difficult because I think WWE have a very clear idea of where they want to go, and that's potentially why things seem like they're just being peppered in at the moment. So obviously with Cody out and with Randy out, I would have said it would have been really good to see Seth Rollins in there at SummerSlam.
So in Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Been there, done that.
But
Got
that's
t-shirt.
the thing. No, because it ended in such a way that you could revisit that down the line. And
How did it end again?
It ended with, I think Roman had the guillotine in, Seth had his hand on the rope,
Oh, yes.
and he just let it go straight through. So you could have, and even Seth kind of alluded to that as well on Raw during his promo last night. And I think that would have been good, but at the same time, I think they're saving that. I think Seth might win the Money in the Bank, and then...
Oh, I've got a different one, but we'll get on to
I'm excited to hear about that. That would be good.
Thank you,
So
cheers.
Seth would have been good. You could have had Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley can get
Been
over
there,
his...
done that already.
Well, again,
But
that's the thing.
all these things, because I'd prefer the dynamic of like Rollins versus Reigns currently to Lesnar versus Reigns, because we've seen it less in recent years, and there's always that little thing of like, oh, Rollins has got Roman's number sometimes, and he gets in his head the way that no one else does, and I like that story.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they'd done that, then it would have been the same. We'd be having a similar conversation. Like, have they just gone back to the well? Yeah.
But I think there's just a little bit more, because it feels like perhaps the chapter of Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar was done at WrestleMania, whereas it's still open with the outcome of...
The rest is still unwritten.
Yeah, exactly.
To quote the great Natasha Bedingfield.
Imagine Roman Reigns coming out there, feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you, Seth Rollins. But that's just, it's not... Who are you going to pick?
For Money in the Bank?
Yeah, just if you were the Drew.
Oh,
that bitch.
Well, I think...
He's a bitchy bitch, isn't he, these days?
Should we just talk about Money in the Bank now, I guess? Or do you want to save
Why the
that?
hell
Is
not?
there more Money in the Bank later on?
I don't know, we'll just do whatever you want to do.
Okay, so I thought originally the plan was... I thought, especially once we learned that Roman wasn't going to be at Money in the Bank at all. I don't think he's wrestling at all at Money in the Bank, is he? I think I was then focused... I was convinced they were focused on it all being featured around Cody Rhodes. Like, he was going to be the main attraction. He was going to win. He was like the poster and the video package and everything was all Cody. And now that he's not there, I think they might have Drew win and then pre-announce his cash in for the Wales
Clash at
show,
the Castle,
Clash at the
yeah.
Castle, yeah.
okay.
Interesting. Makes a lot of sense.
Whereas I think if Cody had won, he would have done a similar thing, but for Mania.
So I think Seth is going to pick it up.
Okay.
Cody perhaps wins the Rumble, goes on to challenge Roman at WrestleMania. Cody wins the belts, but then Seth cashes in.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe as well.
That would be a cool story as well. There's different ways they can get to the same results. Even if Cody had won Money in the Bank, I still think Drew would have been the guy to face Roman at Clash at the Castle.
Yeah,
I just think that they would have said they would have had him win a number one contendership some other way. But yeah,
My big fear now is with all the injuries that they have. Reigns' massive 2 and a bit year, whatever it'll be by the time he loses at Reign, end via cash-in at the end of a match where he's down and he's out, and someone comes in and capitalizes, because Vince McMahon, I assume, would find that sort of thing funny. He's done that sort of stuff in the past, hasn't he? It should be a sort of situation where he loses it in a proper match.
I mean,
100%.
It's got to be that way to then put over the person who's just beat Roman
You
Reigns,
would
right?
think.
It's got to be. It's got to be a huge moment for that person to
It should
finally
be.
pick up
So
the
could
win.
it be that young up-and-comer Brock Lesnar? What was your initial reactions, Jack, when Brock Lesnar's music hit at the end of SmackDown last week?
The same as a lot of people's, which was like sort of not again, surely not. And then I found it a bit patronizing almost, the presentation of it, because obviously the live crowd are going to go wild because it's Brock Lesnar making a surprise appearance. Any live crowd would do that for Lesnar, but for people watching at home, you see Lesnar come out and Roman's all like, "All right, okay, I'm all right," but he's a bit shaken. And I think, well, we've seen this so recently that it lost all of its impact for me.
Andrew?
Yeah, I was just like, he's been paid a lot of money, hasn't he?
Yeah.
To come back right now.
Oh yeah, don't blame Brock.
No,
right? Not at all,
of course. It does feel like it was. It really does feel like it was shoehorned in, and I mean, that's kind of like the problem, right? Because Roman hasn't been on TV for a long time, especially since sort of WrestleMania. The match with Riddle was his first defense since winning the belts at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And we saw him on Backlash, and we've seen him a little bit every now and then on the weekly shows and whatnot, but very little. So it did feel like it came out of nowhere. And the payoff to Brock coming out, as Jack was saying, you know, the live crowd is obviously going to react mental, aren't they, when they see Brock Lesnar come out? But I think for us watching at home, it was very much just like a case of, okay.
I can't believe we've gone back there. Not only because the stakes of the match they had at WrestleMania, but also, and I know that they don't care about this sort of thing, but I think as fans we do care about this sort of thing, because Roman at WrestleMania with that win where he got the oo-woo from Lesnar, he went 3-2 up in their big series of 5 matches that they've had in recent years. I'll run you through them. Starts at Mania 34, this series of matches where Brock beats Roman, where everyone thought Brock was going back to the UFC, but he made Roman look like Gromit.
Yep.
Jam on his face. Greatest Royal Rumble, Brock beats Roman inside the cage to go 2-0 up. SummerSlam 2018, Roman beats Brock for the first time, 2-1. Crown Jewel 2021, Reigns beats Lesnar again to make it Desmond, 2-2.
Yes.
And then WrestleMania 38, he unifies the titles. And that goes on top of course, we've got to go back to the Rollins triple threat match. I guess we can include in this little thing here at the Rumble of 2015. Obviously, the match before Rollins cashed in at WrestleMania 31. There was a triple threat with Dean Ambrose, which I forgot about, at Fastlane 2016, everyone's favorite pay-per-view.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
And I guess we can bring in there as well Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman at SummerSlam 2017. Reigns and Lesnar were in that match as well. But going back to those big singles matches, he's got the oo-woo. He's gone 3-2 up. Got to end it there.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd say
I know
so
they don't
as
care
well.
about that sort of thing, but I think as fans we do, don't we?
And I didn't mind the last feud. I preferred the last one to the WrestleMania 34 one, because the WrestleMania 34 one was just like, the match as well was a big letdown. I remember it was just F5, 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 and then he beat him.
He
And we
kicked
were all like,
elbows
what?
17 times,
He
didn't he,
did,
Reigns?
yeah.
But I preferred the most recent feud because the face heel thing was reversed.
Yeah.
So it felt fresh then. But now to do it so soon after again, it just feels like a letdown.
Can you believe we're back here again so soon? Can you believe it?
I just, yes and no.
Why yes?
Because obviously with some of the main factors out now with injury, yes, because they need to sell seats in arenas, right? And SummerSlam is one of the biggest pay-per-views WWE has in its calendar. And perhaps if you put somebody else in there, say like maybe they put Riddle later on in that role, or I mean AJ Styles and Roman, yes, that would be amazing too. I think that'd sell seats, but I don't think anywhere near as much as what Brock Lesnar and
Because I was going to
Roman
ask
Reigns
the
would do.
question, is Brock Lesnar still the same draw Brock Lesnar was, considering Brock Lesnar's now going up against Roman Reigns for a match we've seen 5 times in recent years? Is that still as big a draw as it was back in the day?
Well, I've written down, I'm not sure, but I'd guess no. More because it's SummerSlam, so more than he probably will sell seats, but slightly less interest than. So I've said basically, I've worked out what I've said here. It's hard to tell because SummerSlam's going to have slightly less interest than Mania would anyway.
Yeah.
So it's hard to tell whether this is the general fan, the casual fan, losing interest in this feud, or whether it would have just sold less anyway because it's SummerSlam and not Mania. So it's hard to tell. But if I had to hazard a guess, I'd say that if you had two identical shows, one with the Lesnar feud from WrestleMania and one with the Lesnar feud now, then the first one would sell more, surely. So yeah, I reckon interest is probably down slightly.
Yeah.
Capacity, by the way, I know a little bit will be cordoned off for the entrance ramp and whatnot, but capacity at this Nissan Stadium in the Tennessee area of America is 69,143.
Oh, it's big.
So there'll be a little bit less for that. So Andrew, is it still a big as draw as it was back in the day for you?
No, I don't think it is for me personally. Again, as Jack was saying, I think the build, because it was so different to the other Reigns and Brock Lesnar stuff that we've had in the past, it was exciting, it was fresh, it felt almost like something new again, which was really cool. But then we saw the payoff of all that, and it was a lot more lackluster than the actual build, I thought. So you got that hanging over people's heads as well, in terms of, okay, well, the build might be good, but do I really want to pay to go and see a match that might not live up to expectations again?
When you're saying that there's been a stipulation added to this?
Oh, yes, that's my next question.
Okay.
Because to your point,
Yes.
shifting gears here on the WWE
Martish.
Kickoff Show, they've made it Last Man Standing, which was announced 3 days ago on Twitter. It wasn't part of SmackDown.
Yeah,
Roman
no
Reigns
reference
quote
to
tweeted it last night, which is how I found out about it.
Okay.
So cut the Last Man Standing. Because where do you go from Last Man Standing? That seems like a conclusive end to a feud, if
Yeah.
you want to do it that way. But then it could go 3-3 if Lesnar wins, so it's not a conclusive end to a feud. But they don't care about that, do they? I do, though. Do you?
I care about that.
I care about scores and whatnot.
Yes.
Is it being more like, because Last Man Standing feels like a real conclusive end into a big feud? Does that make it more of a selling point to you, the stipulation?
Just having any stipulation that's not one they've done before, so I guess Hell in a Cell makes it a bit more of a selling point to me. But I think I've got a different view of why they've chosen this one. I don't think it's to give it maybe a conclusive ending. I think this is more of like an excuse stipulation, so they can have him beat Lesnar but not pin him or not.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because how did he beat him at WrestleMania? Was it a belt
Spear.
shot? Oh, he just beat him clean.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Brock had him in the Kimura for ages, and everyone was like, "Oh my god,
yes.
he's ripped his arm out
Yes.
the socket. There's a big lump there." And then Reigns just sort of speared him and won, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like this one there's going to be maybe like a big spot through the announce table or off the stage or something, and that'll keep Lesnar down. And it's like a weird excuse to keep the door. Not that they'll run it back again, but just that they'll keep that door open again whenever they want to use Lesnar more in the future. So I don't know. But I forgot that he beat him really conclusively at Mania. So maybe I'm wrong.
Because that
there.
felt like as I said earlier, 3-2 up.
I guess that should have been.
That should have been the end.
I guess that should have been the finish, just because of these injuries, I suppose.
Yeah.
Andrew.
I guess the stipulation does add a little bit of something that's going to intrigue us as viewers and people in the crowd as well that go to SummerSlam. But I can't see it being anything but, as we've seen multiple times in their matches, just finisher spams constantly.
Yeah.
That's all it's going. That's all it's going to be. But maybe on a grander scale, off the ramp or something like that, or through tables and whatnot. Which is fair enough. That is sometimes exciting to see, but it really doesn't. It doesn't add too much more dynamic to what we've seen multiple times already.
Obviously, they've been dealt a horrible hand with the injuries of the WWE, but let's just have a look. We're sat here on June the 21st, the longest day of the year. Happy solstice, whatever it's called.
Summer solstice.
Solstice. What's
He's
it
got
called?
it.
Solstice,
yeah.
Longest day of the year. SummerSlam takes, let's just disregard Money in the Bank because Reigns was never going to be there. SummerSlam is on July the 30th of this year. Is 1 month and 1 bit, or one month and 1 week away, too short of a time to build a credible contender to take on Roman Reigns at SummerSlam and have him win.
Outside of Brock Lesnar.
Outside of Brock Lesnar. Let's explore the different avenues now.
I
that
think
they could
that's. Well, this is the thing, because now with Reigns not being on TV as much, perhaps, but
this is where you would go, I'm your boss. I want you on TV.
you in. Well,
I
then,
give you your money.
I think that's,
come to TV.
I think that's absolutely a long enough time to build something with someone. You've already got stuff there with like Seth Rollins. I would have loved to have seen something with AJ Styles too. I don't think we've seen AJ challenge for the belt since Roman's had at least the Universal Championship.
Yeah, I don't think so.
And I think that would have been a really interesting matchup too, now that AJ Styles is face as well and he seems to be over again, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that's an absolute fair amount of time to actually build someone up, build Bobby Lashley or something up after I assume he's going to lose his match with Theory, because I think Theory's got bigger plans in the future. I I think to build something like that, because you've still got Bobby Lashley didn't lose his championship, did he? Definitively, he got taken out of the Elimination Chamber.
Oh God!
So you still got stuff like that. You got stuff like with Seth Rollins. So there's still bits that you could feed off to already have a bit of a build there, but you can like build off that, for want of a better word. You could build off that to build a bigger build.
Would you be invested, Jack, off a 5-week build?
With someone outside of Lesnar.
Someone outside Lesnar, yeah.
No, but I don't think that's. I think that's a wider issue rather than. So I was trying to think of it in my head there. You know, when you've got a bike or something where there's a small wheel of gears and then a big gear thing. So they needed to have used the big gear one to build people up, and now they've limited themselves to the small gear one. So no matter how much they build someone up in the next month, I still don't think it's in a high enough big gear. This sounds weird.
No, it makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Sense, yeah.
So that it's more speaking to like a wider issue with WWE, that we all know, which is that they've not really built stars recently.
Yeah.
Or for many years.
The one they have tried to, Cody.
Yeah.
The injuries there. Would
Yeah.
Cody have won if he was at SummerSlam?
I don't think he'd have faced him at SummerSlam.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
It would have been Randy. If not Randy, it would have been Cody, would it not?
I guess so.
Maybe.
I think they were saving Cody for Mania.
Yeah, I think they are
I
as
hope
well.
they do.
Whether it's via Money in the Bank or the Rumble.
Yeah.
I guess Cody will win the Rumble now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
it's
I
a
think that's
surprise
what's gonna
return
happen.
wins the Rumble. We should probably ask the question: does Roman have the WWE under his thumb? Why not? Let's put it
Yeah,
out there.
of course he
Because this
does.
sort of
Yeah.
situation here, it screams panic mode to me. And I know
Yeah.
there's circumstances that have gone into this, but has Roman Reigns, as we sit here, the story came out last week that he's booked for one Raw the whole summer long, which is the Go Home Raw for SummerSlam. Doesn't work for me, pal. Hulk Hogan springs to mind for Roman Reigns here in 2022. Has he got him under his thumb?
Yes.
Yes, I think so.
What makes you say that?
I mean, he's just won. I mean, for a few months now, he's had both belts. You'd have thought that this would have been a fantastic opportunity to showcase the champion on both brands, get more viewers on both shows as well. And obviously that's happened, and he's gone, I want a bit less time now, don't I? And they've agreed to it. They've agreed to it. Like, they've let him go and do what he wants to do. So I think he's absolutely got him under the thumb.
I think they've gone against their own, because ever since The Rock, when he like left them for Hollywood and stuff, they've never wanted anyone to be built up bigger than the company
brand,
itself.
yeah.
And the only one he really was Cena, but luckily for them, he was like the ultimate company guy. And only now that he's older has he gone off and done his own thing. But now Roman's reaching that stage. I wonder if they're going to be like, we've done it again. And then whenever Roman's time's up and he's done with being champion and everything, I wonder if it'll then be even longer before we see another person like Roman built up to that
Yeah.
level, because they'll be scared again. They'll be scared.
It is fascinating because we sit here and moan that they never create new stars, but then again, when they do create new stars to the level of Roman Reigns, I know he was a star already, but like he's hit new heights with this new heel tribal chief thing.
Yeah.
It does stack the deck in their favor where they can go, that doesn't quite work for me. So I'm going to be upset now, and I'm not saying Roman said he's not going to turn up for work, but potentially he could do that.
He's been able to negotiate himself a much more limited schedule, I suppose. Yeah.
So maybe he's the one picking and choosing who he faces. Maybe he's the one who said Brock.
Maybe.
Do you reckon he's got a modicum of creative control?
I reckon on a smaller level.
Yeah.
Like relative to like little bits of his storylines and stuff. This is pure guesswork.
Yeah.
But I don't think if they go you're facing Lesnar, I don't think he could go, I don't know, that's a good idea.
Because that's an interesting thing to bring in, I think. Because like, if you are Roman Reigns and you are like, looking for pay-per-view payoffs and that, if they're still a thing in this peacock era of WWE, you would rather probably face Lesnar than any new up-and-comer, because surely there's more interest from,
That's true.
Yeah.
the dirty casual fan. They might be forking out a bit more money to buy the one-off pay-per-view than, those diehards.
When's Cena coming back?
Is it next
Monday?
Next week?
And what's he doing?
Austin Theory.
Austin Theory stuff, yeah.
Theory was on Raw this week saying he's untouchable, this, that, and the other. And it's all
Oh,
been
you
built
think
up.
you're untouchable? And he did that photo shoot where he dressed as it. Yeah.
Yes.
I know a lot of them did, but
Wait,
Theory actually looked like him. It was weird.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He did a voice and it sounded like him for a second as well.
He's a mark. He's a big
My
mark.
goodness.
What was I going to say? Sorry. Oh, yeah. Well, I just can't believe. Do you remember that time when they just threw away Roman versus Cena at like No Mercy or something? On just a random pay-per-view.
Yeah, I remember that show just for Lesnar versus Strowman, when Strowman should have beaten him. Do you remember when he won F5 and that was the end?
Yeah.
Hey, bloody
Was
hell.
that the same? Was it a No Mercy?
Yeah,
And that-
2017.
Reigns and Cena, and then that was it. Oh, wait. Hasn't Cena faced him more recently as well?
Yeah, SummerSlam last year.
Yeah, the whole thing with like all I need to do is one roll up.
And he came back, didn't he, as well? Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aye.
Oh, I guess maybe it is now.
But if let's say you are Reigns, would you rather be facing Lesnar so there's more intrigue from not the diehard people like us sad acts, me and you at home. Just what I mean. Just would you rather face Lesnar with more intrigue? Though?
I guess for a big show like SummerSlam, probably. You'd think so at least, wouldn't you?
God, we're just speculating recklessly.
We are.
Fantastic, yeah. But what can we do? We're not part of the company. So let's go through some names now who potentially could have been. We'll just we'll assume Roman beats Lesnar at SummerSlam because that's probably what should happen. Imagine.
Especially with that stipulation, I think.
Yeah. Is there a case to be made for Lesnar winning at SummerSlam and ending this massive reign?
No, I wouldn't like to see, as annoyed as we are, that it's getting a bit boring and we want to see something shaken up.
Yeah.
I don't want that shake up to be the end of Roman's reign. I'm a bit worried they might do just to keep things fresh, they might do a title switch to Lesnar and then back to Roman, but I don't think they'd throw away the long undefeated streak.
They can't do another match after this one, surely.
No.
No, I think Roman should win because surely it should be someone like Cody who ends this run.
Andrew, any case to be made for Lesnar winning?
No.
Fair enough. So let's assume that Roman retains at SummerSlam. He's heading off into the future. Let's see if Drew McIntyre, should he be the one to take the U-Woo at Castlemania?
No, he shouldn't, but I'm wondering, I'm assuming that might be what the main event is.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
And I don't know how are they going to have Roman win that? Because everyone will you can have a heel win at the end, can't you? You can do that.
We've seen that multiple times, haven't we? Obviously, I'm thinking about the TLC match at Unforgiven between Cena and Edge.
Oh, in Toronto.
And in Toronto.
Yeah.
And Cena wins. So they've done the thing where, in fact, with Ali recently in Chicago, when we had the match between and
these
Theory
aren't rabid British fans.
They aren't. That's true. That's very true.
Hop the guardrail if Drew loses.
It's very, very true.
I think a lot of them might be cheering for Roman.
I think so
Just
too.
because he's such a big star.
I think so
and the
too.
way Drew's been booked recently. I think Drew's very unlikable throwing his toys out the pram at every...
He has been recently, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I think they're trying to make him cool and badass, but it comes across...
After he was a stinking nerd last year.
It was weird.
Oh, let's look at the history books.
It comes across really entitled the way he's going on now.
Yeah.
He's like, I should have another title shot. You've had loads of title shots, mate.
Beat up Sheamus, didn't he? When Adam Pearce came out and was like, "You're in the match," and then he got mad and
that
just
was
beat
bad
up.
from Adam Pearce. That was bad.
It was a little
Who
bit.
structures a sentence like that with a volatile human being in the ring like Drew McIntyre? Anyway, so let's...
He did call him a big, smelly, hairy bollocks or something like that. He did provoke Drew as well.
Did Drew win?
No, I don't think so. I think right now, until we get to what I believe is going to be the definitive end at WrestleMania against Cody, probably, I think we have Roman beat all these big baby faces just to make the stakes seem higher to when we finally do get to the end goal.
See, I was wondering, because I still think, I don't know if I'm being naive here, but is there not a chance The Rock gets involved as well?
It is in that there where the films are done. That there, that place.
LA.
Oh yes, it is. It is in Hollywood.
Yeah, Hollywood. That's the one.
Hollywood.
Bloody hell, Hollywood was not in my head there at all. I was thinking Hollywood would be, but that's a different story altogether.
I think it's in a different part of LA, but they've branded it as Hollywood. I think it's in Inglewood or somewhere.
It's like when WrestleMania 35 was it in dirty, stinking Brooklyn? But they were like, in the shadow of New York City.
I think it might have been in New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And then they were like, it's in New
yeah.
York. Yeah. Well, there was definitely one Mania that was branded as New York, New Jersey.
Yeah.
But I think if The Rock and Cody are both viable options, then do you think they'll do a thing? Do you think they'll do a thing where Roman loses one half of the title to one person, well, probably to Cody because he wants that belt, and the other half to someone else? Or I don't know.
I think the longer, let's assume that maybe Roman is going, I don't fancy work this week, Vince. If he's doing that more, it's obviously going to put them off more, isn't it? Because when you have the two separate champions, it's not, there's not that much, but that much emphasis on them to be there every single week, is there? But I don't know.
I mean, that's the issue.
I'd assume that it'll get split up again after this one because it's not worked, has it?
No, exactly. You'd think so, and obviously that is the issue. That when Roman does finally lose the belt, someone now has two belts, and then it'd be weird if you offer a challenge to someone for one of them, and I don't know how they're going to get back to how it is or how it was. Sorry, with both a belt on each brand.
I feel like some people watching might be thinking I'm being a bit unfair to Roman Reigns by saying, he's not wanting to turn up for work. But I refuse to believe that made the uwu a thing with the view to making Roman more part-time than he was. I can't believe that's a thing they've done.
I feel like that's him
Yeah.
signing a new deal and being like, well, if I sign this new deal, I want this, and
Yeah,
this.
Yeah.
surely that's happened. So we've gone through
Maybe
Cody
we'll
there.
see another screw job. Maybe Vince is getting sick of this.
Oh, we've done all
wow.
the documentaries on 97, so let's do it in 2023.
Yeah.
WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes playing the part of Shawn Michaels.
Oh
this
my
time.
God, it would be so good.
Wow.
Orton, could he potentially be the one? I reckon there'd be few more popular choices in,
Right.
in the WWE
It's weird,
universe.
isn't it? Because only a few years ago we were sick of Orton.
Boring.
Everyone was going, "Oh, he's so boring."
Yeah.
Was there one? Sleeper holds.
Night
There
vision
was no real
goggles.
character. No, before that.
Before
one.
that,
Before
yeah.
that. This is like 2017 Orton. It was just
Yeah.
like very bland. There was no real character work there. His matches were very like, oh, sleeper hold. And even he said himself, he never said what time. Because there was an interview we did with Pat McAfee just before WrestleMania this year, and he was like, the fans will know when I was phoning it in over the past few years or whatever. And it. You know, I'm not saying it was then, but it felt like
Yeah.
if it was any
Yeah.
time, it would have been round about then.
I think Orton. I think yes and no for Orton. So I think in the initial excitement after it, yes, that would 100% work. But I think looking back on it, you'd think, oh, they really ended Roman's title reign
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
Orton. So yeah.
Andrew?
No, I agree. I agree with that. I think the intrigue around Orton, especially like he's so over right now. I think he would be a very good contender for Roman Reigns, and I think he'd be a great champion with this new attitude change
When's
too.
he back?
But, and not, it could be
Somebody
2023,
knows, yeah.
depending
Oh, right.
on.
That could be a big old word,
yeah,
though, just to make him
well-
look like Super Cena.
Wow.
It's true. It's true. You never know.
One of the other more popular choices, even though he lost on SmackDown last week, would have been Riddle, because he can easily build him back up again to get into a situation where he beats Roman.
But he's not allowed.
Yeah, he's not allowed now.
Oh
is he?
my God, he's
Yeah,
not allowed,
he's
is
not
he?
allowed.
But
No.
they've gone back on those
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
stipulations
That's true.
before.
That's true.
If they beat Jimmy and Jay in a handicap match, you can
That's
get
exactly the sort of thing they do. Yeah.
So could you say Riddle doing it?
No, I don't think he's ready for it just yet.
Not now.
I've got written down here because Matthew put this on Twitter in his little rundown of who's injured and who's not. Nakamura, because they tried, didn't they, for a little while.
They
and they
teased
gave
it.
up, didn't they?
They
Once again,
teased
they
it.
gave up.
I think even if Nakamura did beat him, I think it would get rejected by everybody. They go, hang on, he's had no
Yeah.
build behind him. And I still look back and think, where did it go wrong with Nakamura? Because in NXT, it was like, and then he won the Rumble, and it's like, this is the new guy.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't the new guy.
And they turned him heel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Because
silly.
he's foreign.
Yeah.
Their words, not mine. Bobby Lashley, I've written down here, he's only had 2 proper televised singles matches against Roman Reigns, and they were both back in July of 2018. Bobby won at Extreme Rules and then lost on Raw.
I find it hard to get behind Bobby for some reason. I don't know why. No, actually, recently I've changed my mind because the crowd went wild for him when he beat Omos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love him, don't
Just
they?
because he's a massive fella, just smashing folk in it.
I think it's the promos. I don't think I get as invested
Oh, yeah, I
in
don't
him.
want to hear
Yeah,
him speak.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now that he's lost MVP as well and he's a face now, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I care about you as much now. But it's a unique matchup, as you say. It's been a few years.
I don't think he is the one. I don't think he would be the one to beat him. I just
No.
don't. It's as you were saying with the promos and stuff. I think you want someone who's good and all round at absolutely everything to display yourselves as a champion for the brand. And without the promo work and the promo skills and stuff there, I think you're just missing a little bit of something.
After the Cena feud is over, Austin Theory.
Oh,
Just Theory now, isn't it? Not
Theory,
Austin
yeah.
Theory.
I reckon he might be the one to take it. If Cody wins, he might be the one to take it from Cody down the line.
The MJF to his Rhoda Codester, whatever the
Yes.
thing was back in the day.
Unless, with Theory though, I'm wondering, clearly they're behind him now, but is he going to be one of those stories where he gets built up and they never quite pull the trigger on him because they never think he's ready? Maybe it's one of them.
maybe.
Vince McMahon seems to be a lot more behind him than anyone else. Than
Yeah,
getting
it's
involved
weird,
in his
isn't it?
storylines and whatnot.
Because he's not a giant.
No,
But then Vince was really behind Shawn Michaels back in the day. So
He does look like Cena, though, doesn't he? Well, I'm
does.
interested to see what Cena looks like when stood next to Theory. Because
Like a giant, I think.
Cena's one of those ones where you think he's deceptively not as big as he actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When next to her.
But when you see him on Soccer AM or something, you're like, wow.
We're dropping down to NXT now.
Okay.
Oh,
Bron Breakker.
He's a
Who is
potential
the
one.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you just sounded reluctant there.
no, I think.
Before
So-
Cody Rhodes arrived, and before they really went behind Cody
Yeah.
Rhodes, because
Yeah.
I still can't believe. Obviously, the injuries happened at a horrible time. I can't believe how much they were getting behind Cody before the injury happened. And even when the injury happened, he won that series, by the way, against Rollins 3-0. They never do that.
3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, I thought he'd at least lose the middle one.
Yeah,
No?
but There we go, Bron Breakker.
I think with like the lineage of both of their families and stuff, that would play very well into a storyline between the two. And I think there needs to be some sort of beef to a storyline where Roman does drop the title as well. I think Bron would be perfect for it because he's shown tremendous progress in his in-ring work and everything too.
Are you saying we get a match between Scott Steiner and I always forget if it's Afa or Sika.
Roman's down.
Roman's down.
Sika.
Sika.
Yeah. Yes.
Scott Steiner versus Sika.
Yeah.
If Sika
Yes,
wins,
please.
sorry, if Scott Steiner wins, then Bron Breakker gets a shot at the championship.
Would not be Rick Steiner?
Forget
Yeah, forget about Rick.
I know,
Well,
let's
he's
just
got
Scott
about
Steiner.
his
Well, then
actual
I guess it
dad.
would be Scott versus Afa then, because it would be
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dads. It would be
Yeah.
my uncle's harder than your uncle. I think that would be good.
Another name to run through, obviously after a big change on Monday Night Raw recently, is I assume a recently turned babyface Edge. Because I think that's the reason. There was obviously the story out there that they wanted to turn the Judgment Day into a supernatural thing, and Edge was like, no, I don't fancy that. But I think after the Cody injury, I think there's another big case to be made for them wanting another big babyface at the top of the card, and Edge being that guy.
Yeah.
But we've had it. I guess it also had Daniel Bryan involved
Yeah.
as well.
Who
but
ruined that feud for Edge, by the way. Everyone was rooting for Bryan, weren't they, by the
Yeah.
time WrestleMania came around?
Edge
Not
had to turn a bit heel.
Yeah.
I think Edge could be. It would feel. I think it's when like a year or two past the point where it would be
Yeah.
right for Edge too. He seems to
Yeah.
have dropped down a little bit now.
The goodwill of the return's gone on it.
Yeah.
Which I guess is by design, because he was heel for a bit there, but
Yeah,
even
yeah,
still,
yeah.
I think the lust has been lost. Do you think Edge?
Yeah, I think maybe a few years ago, yes. With him coming back at the Rumble and whatnot, triumphant moment, and he won the 2021 Rumble as well. Was it
Edge,
2021?
yeah.
Yeah, it was 20 time and that. But it felt very much like it could have been in that moment, but as Jack said, I think it's
Do you remember
past.
when Edge was a babyface right towards the end of his run, and he used to set up to spear people, and he'd try to get the crowd to go spear, spear, spear. When Drew started doing the 3-2-1 Claymore thing, I was like, why do they always make babyfaces do that?
That's like when the Dudleys came back in 2015 and Bubba would start going, table,
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
We didn't need that. We've dealt with Rollins already in this video. I think we could say yes and say no, can we, for Rollins?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
We'll go for a couple of tag team members now. So
Oh.
Jimmy or Jay or Kofi or King Woods.
Oh,
Could they be the
Yeah,
men?
I'd honestly take any of those to beat Roman just for the shock,
The
and
story as
drama
well.
and
There's
the
a story to
story.
be told as well
Yeah.
for those, obviously.
Woods would be amazing.
Woods would be
That would be
so
fantastic.
good.
But I think that to the hardcore viewer, it would be amazing. But I think casual fans would go, "What, the tag team bloke from the New Day?" I don't think they'd be as.
That's where you tell
That's true.
stories with the rest.
But you've got to build him, yeah,
Which
yeah.
they have been doing, because remember when King Woods was just Xavier Woods back in the day, and he was scared of Bray Wyatt. He would
Oh,
never
yeah.
wrestle, and he was scared of another man. And now he's like one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
beat
yeah.
Reigns in the cage, didn't he?
He's-
Was it Reigns in the cage or was it Lashley in the
The
cage?
Lashley in the Hell in a Cell, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Which was crazy. I'd love to see Jay main event Jay Uso.
Jay?
do it. Yeah.
Whoa.
I think that would be really cool. Just
But he's Roman's little bitch.
he is, but he could like turn it around, because where's Roman been? Where's Roman been on these shows while they've been defending belts and doing the little
Yeah.
singles matches and whatnot?
Both
like,
of them. Just have both of them beat Reigns at the
Why
same
not
time.
have one belt and have
Twin
the other
magic.
one the other one? Yeah. Go for it.
Big E, we might as well mention when he's back from injury, whenever that's going to be.
That'll be a cool
It
story.
seems like it's
That
a
would
long
be
time
good.
away, but maybe that's one for after Cody and after a heel.
Yeah.
Down the line, I
yeah.
don't know. I'm going to go for a couple of pretenders to the main event scene now, because one before his injury, who I could have seen on the ascension up to the top of the car, would have been Rick Boogs.
Oh, I thought you meant Flair. I was like, no,
Yes,
probably
that
not
young
Flair.
whippersnapper,
Yeah.
Ric Flair.
Rick
Rick
Boogs.
Boogs, before his
Really?
injury, was one of the more popular acts on SmackDown. I could have seen
He
him
was.
well. He was definitely the Shawn... Right, I'm going to say this to
Oh
the
my
camera.
God.
I'm going to look in the camera.
Oh my God.
Rick Boogs was the Shawn Michaels of the tag team with the Marty Jannetty, which was Shinsuke Nakamura.
Which was one of the three musketeers of New Japan. Shinsuke Nakamura. I think he was one of the three musketeers
think
of
he
New
was.
Japan. Him, Tanahashi, and Shibata. Yes.
Yes.
Not
There's
as
a
good as
bit-
Japanese wrestling.
Japanese wrestling for you with your
Japanese
WWE
wrestling.
content there.
not as good as old Japan.
Not as good as the Four Pillars. No,
Rick
yeah.
Boogs, though. Rick Boogs. Could you have seen that happening potentially?
No.
Why?
No.
He's got the muscles.
He was
Imagine
such
him
a-
playing Reigns like a guitar when he does
No.
that thing.
He was, and this isn't meant to be like a criticism of him, but he was such a mid-card bloke. But you need that. I think he was excellent at his role, but I can't see him
Not on the Boogs cruise.
No, I'm on the booze cruise, but not
Boogs
the
cruise. Not a booze cruise.
I
I thought you were just saying
What are you
it-
doing your
I
personal
thought-
times of the year,
I
Andrew?
thought you were just saying it like McAfee said, Boogs. Boogs cruise, dude.
I'm very much on the Boogs cruise, but I just can't. The problem is, obviously, when you have someone as definitive as Brock Lesnar, a final boss as Brock Lesnar, once you've beaten Brock Lesnar, there's very little in the way of people that can then.
But the Boogs cruise could have been the more final boss after Brock Lesnar. If he beat Roman Reigns, could he not?
Maybe.
Yes, he
No,
could.
I don't know.
Do you not think he might be the guy who finally wins I'm really reaching here, but wins the US title from Theory?
Something like
Maybe,
that.
yeah.
Well, might as well mention him now. Gunter.
Oh my God. I'm enjoying the thing they've just started doing with Gunther, which is Ludwig Kaiser saying no American will ever hold this belt again.
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be the hero?
Cesaro.
Cesaro. He's not American.
No, but you just said no American's ever going to win the.
Yeah, but that's what they've been saying. Like, no American's ever going to get this back.
Well, then.
So who's going to be the hero?
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Montez Ford, I think, deserves a
Go
shot because
on, Montez.
the difference between that audition, I forget when the audition match was, and if Richard, you won't mind Googling that in the background, when Montez Ford took on Roman Reigns on Raw, on Cage match.
Was it
But
on
between,
Raw? Oh, I thought
yeah,
it was on
between that
SmackDown.
match, was it on SmackDown or was it
don't
Raw?
know.
Whatever it
It was on
on.
TV.
remember, yeah.
Since that match and now, one big difference for Montez Ford, which doesn't really mean much for a lot of fans.
SmackDown.
SmackDown on the 24th of December, 24th of September, sorry.
Right.
Between then and now he's massive. He's put on so much muscle.
Has he got on mass?
Oh man!
Wow.
That boy, get on his Instagram, Richard. Let's have a
Oh.
wank over his muscles, eh? But it doesn't matter for us because we don't care about bodies and that. But we all know that Vince McMahon has a penchant
I
for some
know.
certain.
Yeah.
But Ford's got it. He's got the star power, hasn't
Yeah,
he?
he's
now
got
he's got the-
everything.
now
And now he's got the
everything.
muscles.
Yeah.
But he's naturally a slimmer guy, isn't it?
Whoa!
Wow!
Doesn't
Hang
even
on.
look like him anymore.
Buff is the
That
stuff,
is
and the girls
insane.
can't get enough.
Wow.
Look at him.
Happy
Better
Daddy
than
Day
him.
from Daddy himself.
I
Daddy
I
indeed.
reckon
Ding
that-
dong.
I was going to say it was the most obvious thing in the world to say, but I was like, I reckon that was hard for him to put on. Of course it was, but I reckon it was especially hard because he's such a slim guy. naturally.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just hope that this extra mass doesn't affect his abilities in the ring.
No,
Can he
yeah,
get
of
his
course.
eye
Go
for a
high.
front?
Well, his legs, now that he's got the muscles, spring him even higher.
But has he skipped leg day? That's the question.
we didn't see the legs, did we? We didn't see the legs.
But he's, sorry, before it's got it, like he would always, little clips of him doing the little things would get shared.
Yeah.
Remember when there was that baby in the crowd and he was like, ooh,
Yeah, the stuff in between.
such a baby face, man.
Madcap Moss.
Why?
Being the guy.
Because he's got a great body.
Yeah, wait, look at him.
He looks
This is
great.
WWE, remember? We're speaking about it here.
People like him when he comes out as well now.
Do they?
Not as much as the Boogs Cruise, I would say.
No, I agree with you there. But no, I didn't know.
They've clearly got something in mind with Riddick Moss.
Yeah.
Or with Madcap Moss, sorry.
If you squint, honestly, right? If you squint during his matches, he looks like Triple H from 2001.
I felt that the other day as well. I was
Yeah.
watching a match.
2001. Oh, does he?
Just the way Triple H's hair used to lay back in 2001 and the facial hair.
Yeah.
If you squint during a Madcap, I hope they give him a new name, by the way.
Madcap
too.
Moss.
Yeah.
You just think he'll go back to
Derek
Moss.
Moss.
Riddick. All right.
Derek Moss.
They clearly.
That's a hard man's name.
Why have they pushed him? Do you think it's because he looks great?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, fair
And he's young.
Nothing against Riddick Moss. He is better than he's improving definitely. But I used to love I used to love when he'd make Corbin laugh with the joke. I just thought it was great.
Those days are gone. Jack,
I know,
let him
yeah.
go. We have the leader of the Judgment Day, Damien Priest.
No.
No, he's an old man.
But I'm
Isn't he?
enjoying
He's not an
what-
old man. He's late 30s.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying where he's going with this. Does this mean that Bad Bunny's a member of the Judgment Day?
Well, I don't know. It depends if he
Are they
likes
still
the new
pals?
days. Yeah.
I guess
Soy Campion Booker T. So I've watched Tom's video in preparation for this thing where he did the old thermometer gimmick and who could beat Roman Reigns. And a name he threw out there, recklessly, which I'm going to throw here at your face now.
Yeah.
Moxley. His AEW contract is up this year, right? Tom put this in his video, so I'm going to say it now. I don't think there's a chance Nelly ever goes back to WWE.
No, he openly hates it.
Stranger things have happened if there's
There
money
are
on the
strange
table.
things.
Yeah.
But Moxley's said in I don't know which interview it was, but he said that if he could wrestle in the bingo hall down the road for the same money that he makes in AEW or WWE, then he'd just do that forever because he doesn't care about the star power or the limelight as much. I'm assuming he enjoys having good matches and stuff. That's probably why he went to New Japan. But I think for me, Moxley wouldn't ever go back.
I don't think he would
I think he's even if they offered him loads of money, I think he's probably thought, no, I've made my money now.
And he
Yeah.
must have had that much, doing his own stuff over the past few years now that he wouldn't ever go back to someone else telling him how
Oh
to
no, he's free like the genie.
be. Andrew, Moxley?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if there was a tiny slither of a chance that he could go back, I think maybe he could be the one.
It is a good story. Even if he came back, because one thing I wish WWE would do more often is sort of like one-shot deals, like back in the day.
Rob Van
A
Dam.
guy comes in for a feud and then just goes away. You never see him again.
Yeah.
He could come in for a feud and have a good story be told there, I
Yeah.
guess. But I don't think.
I don't think
No.
And that's just there's more names written down here like Carmelo Hayes, because I think he's the total package, that man from NXT 2.0.
But by the time he's at that level, which he should be because he's great, but by the time he's there, I think that'll be in a few years.
Yeah.
And then The Rock.
The Rock.
Any more names from you two?
The Rock shouldn't do it. No. The Rock shouldn't do it.
Do you know who would be? Do you know who would? Everyone would love to beat Roman, at least at first, before we realise what have they done. Would be Otis. Babyface Otis being Roman would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought you were going like, as in like.
No,
that. Do you know-
imagine that.
He's legitimate though, isn't he?
And he still had when he still had Mandy and everything as well. Oh, imagine! And then they
Sorry about
both hold the belts and walk off into the sunset together.
I know, because she's turned heel, hasn't she?
Yeah,
I know
well,
he
I
has
mean,
as
like
well,
back
but-
then though. Back then,
Yeah.
you know.
So any other names? I don't think there's anyone. We've gone through the extensive list there, haven't we?
Not that I think he could do it, but I think a good matchup would be him and AJ Styles.
Yeah.
AJ
Yeah, that
Styles
would be a good match. That would be definitely a good match. Shanky. Just dancing
just
away,
dance.
yeah.
So
Throw
in
him off his game.
conclusion, we're going to say yes, they have bloody panicked, but
Yeah.
circumstances have been at play because everybody's injured.
Yeah.
But if they'd done their homework and eaten their vegetables and been sensible in the past and built other people up, then they'd have a more suitable choice. Yeah, they'd have more choice. They'd have
Just
more choice.
for the. That's a nice place to end it, isn't
That
it?
is, yeah.
Any
it is.
closing remarks from either of you on this entire situation here?
Thank you, Ross.
Yeah, thanks very much,
Yes,
Ross.
thank you. It's been our pleasure to be three great minds of professional wrestling, battling it out in front of you with your front row seat. Yes, so all the best. I guess Brock, and all the best to them as well. And just I don't know how to end this now.
Good luck, lads.
Aye.
Have a nice
Just
day.
pointless. No, that's Matthew's thing. We'll send it now, shall we?
See you later.
Bye bye.